Commodore, this is Admiral Newton from Starfleet Command. You have new orders. CBS has come out with a remake of a classic series, The Twilight Zone. Your orders are to review and explain to people what is with this new show. Yes, Admiral. Understood. Hello, it's your Commodore, Di Coles here, and I will be now talking to you about the 2019 Twilight Zone remakes.
You're traveling through another dimension, a dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. You just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
So our first episode was The Comedian. Man, I had very strong mixed feelings about this episode. It started off with a wannabe comedian trying to be funny, but had no skills, no talent whatsoever. His jokes were lame. He never got laughs. Other comics made fun of him. It was just bad to watch him go down the tube.
11.1% isn't that much, but imagine you're in a plane and halfway through your journey, the pilot comes on and he's like, hey folks, classic good news, bad news. Good news, we'll be getting you 89% of the way there.
And then we had Tracy Morgan's character, J.C. Wheeler, made an appearance to talk to Samir Wasson, played by Kumali Nani Jani, whatever his last name is. It's on the screen below right now. So, can I just stop and say that the way that they filmed Tracy Morgan was brilliantly done. That was an amazing appearance of him. The camera work, the lighting, it made it look so creepy. And if you put it in black and white, you could swear it was part of the Twilight Zone from the 1960s. So then they have a discussion, the two, and Wheeler is trying to give him information about how to become a successful comedian, that you gotta forget about everyone, talk about your personal issues, but once you do, they're gone. They're gone for good, which was an interesting feature. So, Samir went back up on stage and again started with a horrible joke that you keep on hearing over and over and over again in the episode.
So to be clear, your argument is that guns should have no regulations on them because of the Second Amendment, which literally starts with the words, "a well-regulated."
As well, you get to see some of the other comics and their characters start to build a bit, like the one drunken-ass comic that basically committed murder by vehicular homicide, being too intoxicated to drive. And then we have a female comedian. I actually really liked her character, but then they had to hit you on the nose with it, saying that she was a lesbian or part of the LGBTQ community, instead of just making her act like it. Like, just give us subtle hints instead of just blatantly saying it out loud. So, he goes up on stage, he does the stupid joke, and then he starts talking about his dog. And when he gets home, because the audience loved it, so he went home, told his girlfriend, but his dog was gone, which he oddly named Cat. Like, who would name a dog Cat? That's just weird as all hell. And his girlfriend, half asleep, was saying, we don't have a dog.
Where's our dog? We don't have a dog.
So the next night, he goes putting up missing posters for his dog, and takes his girlfriend's nephew to the comedy club and then starts to make fun of him, and he disappears and no one knows where he went. So as this goes on, he starts to realize that he can start making people disappear from his comedy acts. So he tried to give some information, do the very liberal left-wing description of Donald Trump. Completely failed, because I believe he then realized you have to actually know the person very well to make them disappear. So he went on his Facebook and started making a list of people that pissed him off or that were not the best people of society. He got rid of the drunk comedian. So it went back to normal, where he actually never got to kill the people that he did from the driving accident. He takes it a little too far, though, near the end, and he makes his girlfriend's mentor and teacher disappear because he was afraid that he was hitting on her too much and wanted to be with her in her pants and all that. So he made her disappear, which basically screwed her over by not giving her the career and life and the second chances and everything that they had with their relationship. So it came near the end of the episode, right? It was down to the two comedians, Samar and the lesbian black woman, to see who gets the spot on this new TV show, and this big, huge comic sketch TV show. And she does a great comedic sketch. Right, we don't get to see much of it, but we see the ending of it. The audience loved it, of course. And then Samar gets on, and first of all, he's bombing, and then he starts joking about the other comedian, and she disappears. And then that just sets him off, and he goes on a huge-ass tangent of all the people that have ever pissed him off, and he just lays it all out. But then his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend comes by and boos him, which is kind of weird, because how would she have gone into his apartment if they don't live together or are not together anymore? And why would she even care what he does? So you think he's going to rip her a new one, but no, he ends up ripping himself, making fun of himself, and he ends up disappearing.
I come up here and I try and make people laugh. Why? Because I want to spread joy? Because I want the world to be a better place? Nope. It's because I'm a garbage can who needs lots of money and validation.
And the entire timeline resets, excluding him. We didn't get to see Tracy Morgan's character again, this time talking to the black woman, which will be very interesting to see. That would have been amazing to see that happen. Overall, like I said at the beginning, I have torn feelings about this episode. It's basically a ripoff of the Death Note and a little bit of The Shining in there at the end, especially the way that they did the ending. That was pure Twilight Zone there. I don't care what other people said. The ending was pure Twilight Zone. But overall, I felt like the show went on a little too long. If it was the perfect half-hour, 25-minute episode instead of the 1-hour format, it would have been a great way to kick off the new series. But they stretched it out for an hour, so it kind of dragged in some points. The interactions with Samar and some of the audience members were hilarious, but it just stretched out a little too long. If they condensed the story, I told you the whole story in less than 10 minutes here. So if they kind of condensed it, it would have been a great episode, and it would have been a Twilight Zone style episode. But because it went on for a long time and it kind of dragged itself out, it kind of lost that effect. Overall, good, solid start for it. It's still not quite the Twilight Zone we all know and love, but a good effort on their part. Jordan Peele, I think, did a decent job as the host. He's no Rob Sterling, but he did a decent job there. Like I said about the one shot of with Tracy Morgan, amazing job with the camera work, the lighting, the smoke, and all that stuff. The great use of lighting and shadow. I love that shot. And they did some good shots in this episode as well, like the close-ups of the comedians on stage and so forth. If they just shrunk the runtime down, it would have been a very solid episode. So now, for your Commodore titles, we're exiting the Twilight Zone. Thank you for watching the video from Commodore Ty. If you'd like to see more, please hit the like button, share, subscribe to the channel, and why not, when you're here, check out one of my other mini videos I've done. Live long and prosper. Hailing frequencies closed.